Look, I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I think it's hard to talk about because it demands that I be honest about a side of myself that doesn't reflect well on me. And I try to be honest, I genuinely try. But there's a difference between the honesty you show the world and the honesty you practice when you're alone with the parts of yourself you'd rather not look at closely. This is that second kind, the harder kind, because what I'm about to say isn't about Hadia's flaws. It isn't about what she did wrong or where she fell short or why things ended between us the way they did. It's about what she saw in me that kept her there so long, well past the point where leaving would have been the sensible, appropriate, self protecting thing to do. And the painful truth is that what she saw in me was real. It wasn't an illusion, it wasn't something she invented to justify staying. She saw something that genuinely existed, and I wasn't always worthy of it. That's the part I have to live with. That's the part that doesn't let go. I think she saw the version of me that I showed to almost no one. Not the crown prince, not the public figure, not the man who appears in photos and ceremonies and the guarded spaces where Sheikh Hamdan carries out the life the world expects of him. She saw the other one, the one underneath all of that, the one who sometimes doubts himself, who sometimes gets tired, who carries things he can't always name and doesn't always know how to put down. The one who writes poetry not to show people, but because writing is simply how what's inside comes out, a way of giving shape to things that would otherwise stay formless and heavy and unfinished inside a chest already carrying too much alone. She saw that Fazza, the personal one, the real one, and that's exactly why she stayed. Because of who I was when no one else was watching. Because of who I was when no one else was there, and I want to make one thing clear because this is where the story becomes tangled in ways that need to be spoken plainly. She didn't stay because she was naive. She wasn't someone who mistook potential for reality, who loved some version of me that didn't yet exist and kept waiting for it to appear. She was far more perceptive than that, too honest with herself to sustain that kind of deliberate blindness for long, no matter how long she stayed. She stayed because she saw something that was real, that existed, that was genuine, something that was actually there, and she believed in it even on the days I couldn't believe in it myself. And there were many such days, probably more than I ever let show even to myself. She believed in something in me that I sometimes gave up hope on. And she did it quietly, without ever making it an issue, without ever holding it over me or even mentioning it, even in moments when mentioning it might have changed something. She just kept believing continuously from behind the scenes as if it were something that didn't need to announce itself to be fully real. What exactly did she see? I've asked myself this. I think she saw the gap, the distance between who I was supposed to be and who I actually was. I think she understood that gap the way very few people ever have, not as a character flaw, not as a lack of authenticity, not as something that needed fixing or questioning, but as a fact of my life, a structural kind of truth, the way the gap between public and private is a structural reality for anyone who carries a responsibility like mine. She saw it and accepted it and decided she would exist in the private part. She would become one of the few people allowed on the other side where performance ends and the real person begins. And I think she understood how rare and important that was. And I think she valued it. And I think that's why she stayed. She also saw something else, and this is hard to say. Say she saw my capacity to love, even in moments when I wasn't expressing it well. Even in moments when I was preoccupied or distant or tangled up in the thousand demands that make up my life. Even in moments when I was disappointing her in ways I wasn't even fully aware of at the time, she looked past the surface actions to what lay beneath them. to the truth that what I felt was real, even if my actions weren't conveying that reality as clearly as they should have. She had this ability, I don't know what else to call it, the ability to see intention beneath failure, to see love beneath shortcoming, and to hold on to it, and to let that be reason enough to stay, even when staying asked more of her than it was giving back. And sometimes I wonder, genuinely wonder, whether this was a gift or a wound, whether the very thing that made her capable of staying is what kept her there far longer than she should have stayed, whether seeing the best in me was a strength or a trap. Because this staying cost her, I know it cost her. I saw that it cost her even when I never said out loud what I was seeing. There were moments, small, private ones, where I could see the weight that staying placed on her, where I could see what it took from her each time to choose to remain. And I didn't always make it easy for her. I didn't always meet her choice with the same choice she deserved in return, and still she stayed, and I let her stay. And that is something I will carry with me for a long time. There was one more thing she saw, something I haven't said yet because it's the most personal, most honest thing on this list. She saw that I was lonely, not in any visible way, not in a way that announces itself or asks for sympathy or presents itself for anyone to notice. That deep kind of loneliness, the kind that can exist in the middle of a full, busy, outwardly happy life and still be completely real. The kind that doesn't come from a lack of people but from a lack of the specific people who truly see you, really see you. The way Haadiya saw me. And she saw that loneliness and decided she would be the answer to it. She decided she would be the person who saw me for years without being asked, without needing any acknowledgement, just making that choice day after day because that's who she was, and because I think some part of her knew I needed it, even if I could never say so myself. And maybe this is the truest answer to the question of what she saw that kept her there too long. She saw someone who needed to be seen, and she herself was someone built to see people. And for a while, a long, meaningful, genuine while that fit. It was enough. It was more than enough. It was everything. And then it became complicated the way every real thing eventually does. And then it became painful. And then she left. Not because what she saw in me wasn't real, but because seeing something real in someone doesn't always make staying sustainable. Sometimes you can see clearly and love purely and still reach a point where the cost of staying outweighs what seeing and a loving give back. She reached that point, and I understood it, and I let her go, not because I wanted to, but because some kinds of love, the truest kinds, the ones that truly see you, deserve more than what you're able to give. And she deserved more. She always deserved more. And the fact that she stayed as long as she did, what she saw, what she carried, that isn't something small that I take lightly. It's something I carry with me quietly. The same way she always taught me to carry the things that matter most. Thank you everyone for watching this video, and subscribe now.